Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is your favorite show, Daily Calls, a show that addresses all your stock-related queries. This is where you will get to know, in case you have doubts about the stocks in your portfolio, what should your strategy be? Should you be holding on to them, adding on some more, or should you be buying some other stocks and exiting from your current positions? All of these questions can get answered on this show. Over the next 45 minutes, we'll get you top experts from markets to guide you with your stock-related queries and give you a custom-made answer as well. Send me your queries on this WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screens. Do send in your name, location and your contact details when you send me all of these questions. Along with this, you can also log in on the YouTube platform of Business Today and watch the show live. Use the comment section there and send me your questions, and from there also I can pick up some questions to address with our top market experts. Before I introduce the guests to you, let me quickly look at how the markets are trading. Remember, after yesterday's bloodbath, today there is some sign of a recovery coming back across the market. So you can see a light shade of green coming back on the D Street. The Nifty is up by about 250 odd points, and when we look at all the sectors of the Nifty, they are also up and about in trade. So slight recovery is happening. Remember, it was India VIX that rallied 70% yesterday, that reflected the fear in the markets because of Trump tariffs and recession fears, all of that cumulatively. Today, there is a fall on that as well. So India VIX is down by about 8 to 9 odd percent at 20.7. So things slowly and gradually are probably coming back. Difficult to say whether we have the risk of slipping back again to lower lows, or do we actually come back stably as far as the uptrend is concerned. All of that will depend on how the external factors will also move in today's trade. Let's look at the market movers. We have on the Nifty, Shriram Finance as the top mover today, 4.2% higher. You have Titan that's actually buzzing in trade. Remember that Q4 business update came in this morning, and you can actually see some improvement on that too. Infosys, Eicher Motors, Asian Paints are also up and about in trade. What's happening in the F&O space? Well, you see PB Fintech, PNB Housing Finance, MCX, BSC and Hindustan Petroleum Corporation also up and about in trade. So these are the stocks that are actually buzzing as far as the F&O movers are concerned. Where are the losses that you can spot? Even on the Nifty, just about a handful of stocks, 2 or 3 of them, that are actually not really contributing today. Trend, after that 20%, near 20% kind of a fall yesterday, there's again some softness. You can see a 0.7% of a decline on this one. Hindalco, Power Grid, these are the other stocks that are still softer in trade. In the F&O space, delivery is down. Remember, yesterday this was the stock that was bucking the trend in the F&O space. Today there is some softness or profit taking. You can see Astral, Vodafone Idea, Mahanagar Gas, all of these stocks that are actually buzzing in trade. Let's get our guest to you and introduce him to you as well. Raj Vyas, Vice President of Research at Tezi Mandi, now joining in. Hi Raj, warm welcome. Good afternoon to you. Tell us what do you sense in the markets first before we go ahead and take the rest of our questions from our viewers. Do you think things are now back on track, or are we at a risk of again slipping?
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for having me on your show. So, India's market remains strong with positive indicators that, in terms of macroeconomic indicators, that is your inflation, that is the inflation numbers are down to 7-month low. Your IIP numbers are expanding. The GST numbers that came recently, that was the second highest, and the GDP growth remains intact. So, despite a significant correction that we have seen from the highs of 26,200 to lows of 21,280, the market we feel has already discounted more or less the tariff impact. And history also suggests that after major events, the market tends to focus on growth and bounces back. So while the global volatility, especially from the tariff and the reciprocal tariff that the China is reiterating, so it continues to keep the global markets volatile, and our markets will also face some bit of volatility because of all these reasons. But having said that, the market fundamentals and the macroeconomic indicators suggest a positive momentum in our markets, and history also suggests that investors who bought during dips have historically seen positive returns, as seen in the previous market drops, having a corrections of 10% or more. So we believe that these kinds of corrections when a market dips provides a better opportunity to the investors, and they have all and we have seen as well that the returns generated during these periods have been far more higher, and history also suggests the same. So the advice to the investors will be to remain calm and don't sell anything in the panic. Despite the volatility over the periods that we have witnessed since the market has come into place, the CAGR return that the markets have generated are close to 14 to 15% odd, beating the normal FD returns and the other kind of saving investments horizons. So we believe that one can take a proactive approach, and if they have a suppose they have 100 rupees in their hand, so we don't advise them that to put all the 100 rupees in the market currently, but they can generally one third or two third of their portion they can accumulate good quality stocks at current levels.
Okay, Raj, we'll start taking some questions now for our viewers. We have Mr. Manoj Bhai Kapatia writing in कि कल मैंने मैज़ेगॉन डॉक का शेयर लिया था, 2305 रुपये में 50 शेयर्स बाय किए हैं। एक साल तक के नज़रिए से इस शेयर के बारे में बताइए कि होल्ड करें या फिर एग्जिट करने की सलाह होगी। क्या सलाह देना चाहेंगे मैज़ेगॉन डॉक पर? कल की तेज़ गिरावट में इन्होंने खरीदारी का अपॉर्चुनिटी ढूंढा इस डिफेंस स्टॉक में, और
Correct.
ओएफएस के भी एक मूव हमने यहाँ पर देखा है। तो ओवरऑल जो निवेशकों के लिए कल के ही दिन पे ओएफएस खुला था, तब इन्होंने
Correct.
परचेज किया, और आज ये 2350 के ऊपर अभी ट्रेड कर रहा है। क्या सलाह देना चाहेंगे?
अ, अगर हम डिफेंस स्टॉक्स पे देखें काफ़ी, तो वो अपने हाई से काफ़ी लो लेवल तक आ गए हैं। और तो ये लेवल पे जो उन्होंने निवेश किया है, तो मेरा मानना है कि वो अभी ये स्टॉक में निवेश में ही रहे। एग्जिट करने की कोई मतलब गुंजाइश नहीं है इसमें। अगर हम 40 ईए में भी अगर टेक्निकल पैरामीटर्स पे देखें, तो वो 2406 के लेवल्स पर है। अगर 100 लेवल्स पे देखें, तो स्टॉक अभी 100 ईएमए के ऊपर पे ट्रेड कर रहा है। और अगर 200 ईएमए भी देखें, तो टेक्निकल इंडिकेटर्स पे वो काफी पॉजिटिव है। और जैसे जैसे हमने देखा है कि स्टॉक अगर इंक्रीज करता है, तो उसका आरएसआई इंडिकेटर भी पॉजिटिव लाइक इंक्रीज होने लगता है, वो काफी पॉजिटिव साइन है। और हमने देखा है कि लोअर लेवल्स पे एक जो एक्यूमुलेशन है, वो हमें वॉल्यूम्स के जरिए दिख रही है कि भाई वॉल्यूम्स भी अगर स्टॉक प्राइस कम होते जा रहे हैं, तो वो वॉल्यूम्स इंक्रीज होती जा रही है, तो वो एक पॉजिटिव साइन है। और अगर हम देखें कि एक जो सुपर टेंट इंडिकेटर का अगर हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं टेक्निकल बेसिस पे, तो वो सुपर टेंट इंडिकेटर भी अभी पॉजिटिव मोमेंटम दर्शा रहा है। सो ओवरऑल अगर उनका 1 ईयर का टाइम पीरियड होराइजन है, तो वो ये स्टॉक मजगांव डॉक में काफी हद तक इन्वेस्टेड रह सकते हैं। अभी जो जैसे ट्रेड वॉर चल रहा है, तो एक जो डिफेंस कंपनीज है वो काफी फोकस में आ सकते हैं, क्योंकि जो गवर्नमेंट हो गए रिस्पेक्टिव कंट्रीज के, वो अपने जो डिफेंस के जो इक्विपमेंट्स है उसे काफी हद तक स्ट्रॉन्ग या मजबूत करना चाहेंगे। तो डिफेंस मजगांव डॉक हो गया, या दूसरे जो कंपनीज हो गए, बीईएल हो गए, जिन्होंने अपना FY 26 का जो पीरियड है काफी हद तक अच्छा किया। उन्होंने 2800 का पॉजिटिव ऑर्डर विन भी एक्यूमुलेट किया इन द फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ इटसेल्फ। सो वो ये दर्शाता है कि पॉजिटिव मोमेंटम अभी ये सेक्टर में शुरू हो रहा है। और जो इस हिसाब से हमें गिरावट देखने को मिली थी, तो ये लेवल पे काफी एक्यूमुलेशन कर सकते हैं इन्वेस्टर्स।
ओके, गॉट दैट। लेट्स टेक द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। ये हमारे पास अवनीश चौधरी का सवाल आया है। राज, इरिडा पर ये पूछना चाहते हैं आपसे। 140 के लो टेस्ट किया था, लेकिन 150 के पार भी गया क्लोज होने पर। आज ये 155 के आसपास है। मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि इस स्टॉक के ऊपर किस तरीके से आपका व्यू है, क्योंकि मैंने ऑलरेडी ये शेयर्स खरीदे हुए हैं और
हाँ,
188 के भाव पर मेरी पोजीशन है।
188 के भाव पे पोजीशन है, और अगर करेंटली 150 153 ऑर्ड पे ट्रेड कर रहा है स्टॉक, तो वो काफी हद तक उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट होराइजन से नीचे है।
जी।
तो मेरा मानना ये है कि भले ही उनका मतलब स्टॉक प्राइस थोड़ा पिक करेगा, बट 180 185 तक पहुंचने में स्टॉक को काफी टाइम लगेगा।
ठीक
हालांकि
है।
जो हमें ऊपर दिख रहा है स्टॉक, वो बेसिस आज के मार्केट रिएक्शंस पर ही है। So my advice would be to switch the current position, and the person can invest in some other good quality stocks at similar levels. So
ठीक
अगर
है।
उनको दूसरे अगर स्टॉक्स में अगर इंटरेस्टेड है, तो वो पैराडिप अभी भी हमें बहुत मजबूत लग रहा है स्टॉक, डिस्पाइट द वोलेटिलिटी स्टॉक में काफी हद तक स्टेबिलिटी है। एंड दूसरा अगर स्टॉक अगर रिसेंट अगर देखें लोअर लेवल्स पे, तो एनबीसीसी एक स्टॉक है जो काफी हद तक अच्छा दिख रहा है। डोमेस्टिक फेसिंग कंपनी है वो भी। तो अगर उनको स्विच करना है, तो वो ये स्टॉक को स्विच कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि रिटर्न्स उनको जनरेट करने में लाइक जो उनका प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट है इन्वेस्टमेंट का वो काफी टाइम लग सकता है.
ठीक है. नेक्स्ट लेट्स टेक अनदर क्वेश्चन. ये सत्या का क्वेश्चन है. सेज गुड आफ्टरनून साक्षी, गुड आफ्टरनून सत्या, होप यू आर डूइंग वेल. आफ्टर द रीसेंट सेल ऑफ, प्लीज सजेस्ट एनी levels to enter. After the recent spin-offs, I want to understand on AB Real Estate and Siemens, since there have been some demergers there. He wants to know what should be the approach on AB Real Estate and on Siemens long-term portfolio, and he suggests that he wants to know on either of these, do you have a positive call? Should one really look at these stocks afresh? Siemens and AB Real Estate.
So EB Real Estate, if we come across for the first one, then the company has been reporting good quality earnings. And if we see its subsidiary Birla Estate as well, so they have been able to generate a good quality in terms of revenue potential from their recent this acquisitions, or we say the property they have built up in terms of a residential this thing. So recently they have come across a property where they have generated 3,000 crore in just a few months. So this itself shows us the potential that the company is able to do it. And in terms of guidance as well, the management is really optimistic about the future growth prospects with respect to the main company Aditya Birla Real Estate and the subsidiary as well, that is the Birla Estates. So, and if we look at the technical parameters, so the company that is the stock it is like if we see it is nearing to the double bottom from the last time, that is the 1 year the rally that has started. The stock is currently trading at similar levels. So in technical indicators, the double bottom indicates a positive sign, and we may witness some pullback as and when the market tends to recover. So these are the signs he can generally accumulate, and he can average at current levels as well for better returns. So we have a
Okay.
positive view on this stock. Siemens, the other was Siemens, right?
Yes,
Or
Siemens. Correct.
yeah, so Siemens, I guess the stock got demerger, and it was trading yesterday post demerger, and I guess we have to at current levels we have to see how the stock reacts in the next 10-15 days, and then only we can have a fresh bet on the stock, because currently we don't have any view basis the technical parameters, because since the stock has got demerged. So typically post listing, the next 10-15 days, it is the period of price adjustment, and once the price gets adjusted, we'll have a fresh view on the stock then.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has answered your question. Let's take the next one. This one is from Ankur Modi. He says, hi Sakshi, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Very well, Ankur. Thanks for asking, and I hope the same for you. He says, I want to ask about BEL. Despite good updates, order flows coming, why is the stock really not performing? I have a position at 230. What should I do? When can I average on BEL, Bharat Electronics?
Yeah, so if he wants to adjust it, he wants to average it, the current levels are no surprise. He can average at current levels. As I mentioned earlier as well, that the company has started FY26 on a positive note. Though the company was just shy away from its guidance for ending the FY25 this guidance, but overall that we have seen in terms of order wins, in terms of margins as well, what the management has highlighted, and the start of the new financial year with respect to the orders getting from the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Airlines, everything. And in terms of private players as well, the company is able to generate orders. So at current levels, the stock looks pretty much good, and he can average at current levels. The positive side, once the company starts working on the previous orders, then we will see some bit of positivity on the stock price. But at current junction, I don't think there is a downside to the stock price, and he can accumulate and he can average at current levels so for better returns.
Okay, let's take another one. Now we'll take some questions that are coming in on our WhatsApp as well. This question is from Mr. Dasaradhi. He says, good afternoon. I'm holding 500 shares of Patel Engineering at the rate of 58. Can I add more, or should I book my loss? what should be the suggestion on Patel Engineering. He also has a second question, and that's on the overall Nifty Bs. We'll tackle that separately. First, let me get your view on Patel Engineering, Raj.
So what was his stock price? 50, 55,
58.
58. So I guess the volumes that we have seen in the stocks, I mean, it's decent, but the stock has turned very volatile in the past 6 months, or if we see the performance of 1 year as well. And though the stock is trading to its 52-week low levels, I guess the pace to catch up the stock at the time he has purchased the stock feels difficult, because it will take more time. I guess if his horizon is more than a year, then he can stay remain invested in Patel Engineering currently.
Okay.
But if he wants to switch, and there are other stocks as well at similar levels. So I guess, for example, if we have a look at Sagility, so Sagility is at similar odd levels to Patel Engineering, and Sagility is no prone to the in terms of tariffs, because though the 100% of the revenue comes from the exports, but if we see the fundamental side, so it is into the services side of medical equipments or something. And
Sure.
if we see the tariffs are on the pharma side, so Sagility has no negativity. So at current junction,
Absolutely.
we can switch from Sagility to from Patel Engineering to Sagility, because the prices are pretty much at similar levels currently.
You must switch your holding to Sagility at the same price. That will actually guard your portfolio from any external shocks. At this point in time, it's priced almost at the similar level. That's where you stand a chance of actually making more profits and making up for your losses in Patel Engineering as well. Let's look at the markets. Back above 22,500 and 356 points higher. So slowly and gradually, we are inching up in trade. Let's also actually look at the key contributors at this point in time for this recovery that's underway on the markets at this point in time. If you look, we are now at the high point of the day. It's Infosys that's contributing 46 points. Remember, IT sector will be in flavor soon because of the earnings. Bharti Airtel is contributing 27 points. Reliance is contributing about 25 points. You have L&T and all the three major banks, ICICI, HDFC, Axis and even SBI, all of them are really contributing to the market's slow and gradual recovery, and that's what we really need. Let the markets find their feet and slowly and gradually get back, digest all the Trump tariff noise, and then slowly come back on to focus on its own domestic fundamentals. Let's hope that this continues for the better. Let's take the next question that Mr. Dasaradi had asked. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from it. He wants to know on Nifty Bs at this point in time. You know, the markets are actually very, very volatile. Would you suggest that at every dip in the markets, Mr. Dasaradi enters Nifty Bs and adds on some money? And this would also be a question that a lot of people will have, that on these dips, is it wise enough to put money in Nifty Bs?
So the thing is, the markets, the overall texture, as we have mentioned in the opening remarks, the market's texture remains strong. The internals are very much strong. There is no such thing that one should have a negative approach with respect to our markets, because everything is very much well placed, and the quarterly earnings as well that we will be seeing from the this week or from next week onwards, we are hopeful that the quarterly earnings will also be positive, and the coming next 2 quarters, that is the Q1 of FY26 and Q2 of FY26, will also be positive, because of both the quarters were impacted because of heat wave and because of the Lok Sabha general elections. So at
Okay.
current levels, one can have a bet on Nifty Bs, but the returns will be very much less compared to the direct equity stocks. But if he wants to remain invested and wants to invest more in Nifty Bs, he can do it. And the stop loss that one can place is the yesterday's low in terms of Nifty 50. What the Nifty 50 has made yesterday the low, and because if it breaks that levels, then given the volatility that we are seeing in the global markets, the Nifty may fall further. So the yesterday's lows will be an important mark to track on in terms of the downside. and the rest he can do investing in Nifty Bs. There is no issue with that.
Okay, fair point. Let's actually look forward and see what else is coming in. We have some questions from our YouTube channel as well. Sanjeet Khurana ji writes in, good morning. Good morning to you also, Sanjeet ji. He says, is it the right time to buy Coal India for long term? I want to know that. Coal India, of course, has been a recent outperformer of 2024, but in the first half at least, second half turned out to be mild with the markets coming down and, of course, consolidative play also being seen on Coal India. What next? 380 currently, 0.6% higher on Coal India.
So coal, as you mentioned, that it has been an outperformer in the last year, and recently only the stock has been facing some bit of heat with respect to the in the past 5 days. If we see, the stock was down 3.5%, and in 6 months performance as well, the stock was down 22%. But given the kind of legacy the Coal India shares, and at current levels, the price, there is no, I guess. And the updates that we are getting in terms of the metals and mining sectors, we believe that Coal India will have a positive outcome going ahead. And currently as well, the stock is just shy away from its 40 EMA of 385, and once it crosses the 385 levels, then we may see further upside onto the stock. So at
Okay.
Coal India, we have to track the technical levels, and based on that, we can have a fresh entry. But the super trend indicator on the stock indicates a positive sign, which may have a bullish implications on the stock. So Coal India, one can have a positive view, and one can have a fresh bet on the stock. There is no we don't have anything negative approach on Coal India at current level.
Okay, fair point. We'll take that. Let's take another one. Komal writes in and says, should I buy Yes Bank at the current levels? And I also want to know about Wipro for a period of 3 months. Can I continue to hold with the target price if you can suggest? Banking space and IT. Yes Bank from banks and Wipro from IT.
So, Yes Bank, if we see, the stock has was very volatile, but lately, if we see, the stock has been able to purchase the NPAs of other banks or other players as well. So in that manner, we have, but we have to see the approach or the time horizon of the user. So if the person is willing to hold the stock, that is Yes Bank, for another 2 to 3 years time period, then she may have good returns in Yes Bank. Only if she is willing to hold for the next 2 to 3 years over the longer term period. If the person is not able to hold for 2 3 years, then I will not suggest Yes Bank at current levels. And the other stock was which Wipro. So
Wipro.
yeah, Wipro. So Wipro in last quarter as well, the stock was facing some bit of pressure in terms of deliveries and in terms of the attrition rates. But if the user wants to switch Wipro from another stock, then I would suggest Infosys is the good bet, because the risk reward is pretty much favorable for Infosys, and as history also shows that the stock typically bounces from its 50 EMA on a monthly chart, and 200 EMA as well on a weekly chart. And the weekly RSI, if we see, it is around the 30 32 odd levels, and the stock has taken multiple supports in the past as well, around 27 28 and 30 zones. And the super 10 indicator is also positive, indicating a bullish implication. So with a, I guess, with a stop loss of 1350, the person can invest in Infosys at current levels,
Okay.
apart from Wipro.
Okay, got that. Let's take the next question. Again, some questions coming in on our YouTube. Sindhu Ramdas says, can I buy Voltas and Godrej properties at the current levels? Okay, interesting question there. One is the consumer durables play that
Yeah,
everybody of us has been keeping an eye out on, looking at the summer theme and
yeah.
the spike in demand for a lot of air conditioners, refrigerators, and many more things. And the second one is Godrej Properties. Today there has been a spike on this one. Looking at how their sales have gone through, highest ever is what we have actually seen at some segments. So Godrej Properties from real estate and Voltas from consumer durables place. What would you say?
Starting with Voltas first. Typically Voltas, Blue Star, we see post the winter. As soon as the winter ends, we see these two, three stocks in action because of the tactical bet and the kind of summer that we are witnessing. But if you
Yeah.
see the stock performance in 1 month and 6 month basis, it's down 6%. It's down, and in 6 month basis, it's down more than 25%. So the positivity surrounding the summers and people purchasing more ACs are not getting into the price currently. But we have a positive view because as and when the company reports its monthly updates, or it comes out with its earnings, we may see the numbers of AC dispatching positive, and that will get reflected in the stock price post the numbers are out. But if the person has to switch the stock, he can always go into LG equipments because they are the manufacturers of the AC units, and we have seen lately that there is some shortage coming in terms of raw materials from China, and that is impacting the overall sales as well. So LG equipments at current levels, because they are the manufacturers of it, and not only AC at homes, but also they provide AC in terms of cars and other small equipments as well.
Okay.
So they can so the person can have, if he wants to invest in Voltas, he can add Voltas, and he can at the similar levels he can have a view on LG equipments as well. So LG equipments at current levels, there is no he can have a positive returns if he stay remain invested in LG equipments.
Okay, hopefully this has answered your question well. We are back above 22,550 viewers on the Nifty. There's a near 400 point of a jump, and we are recovering slowly but gradually at this point in time. There are only two stocks that are contributing negatively to the Nifty, and that's Trent and Hindalco, and that too with a minor point. But rest of the stocks are all contributing positively, largely led by Infosys, Reliance, Bharti Airtel, L&T, and the banking space, financial space at large too. 400 points of a rally that can be seen. Where do you see this going now? Do you think we are probably ahead of that bottom that we made yesterday or tested that level?
Bottom, I guess no one can predict because of the severe volatility in the markets. But if we see the downside risk, it will be 2-3% odd, but the upside is very much high because from the highs of 26,000 we have fallen a bit. So I guess the as mentioned in the opening remarks, the all the negativity surrounding the tariff, that was pretty much discounted in the markets. It's just the global markets were so much down, and we can't decouple the global markets. We have to be in sync with the global markets, and that we have witnessed in our markets as well. And the first sign of markets discounting it was visible in Thursday's session, when the overall markets were down and our markets were not, that it ended the session on a flat note. So we remain, I guess, positive on the markets. Maybe there may be a fall of 1-2% if the markets goes in extreme downward trajectory. But overall, as we have been saying it, we remain positive on India's growth trajectory, and investors should accumulate at these levels for better returns.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped you out in understanding how to go about it. We'll take a view on your specific ideas. You have already suggested so many ideas alternative to the questions that were asked. But if I have to ask you, Rajesh, that in this downturn in the market, have any stocks come up very strongly, that have strong fundamentals, are at very attractive prices at this point in time, and definitely warrant long term investors' attention at this point? What would those two stocks be?
Two stocks, if I say, then I guess Paradeep, as I mentioned in the past as well, Paradeep continues to have a
Paradip
positive.
Phosphates.
Paradeep phosphates, yeah. So it continues to be in the upward trajectory, and today as well it is around 120, 121 odd levels. Given, I guess, post the announcement of merger, like that is the SEBI's exchanges approval of paradigm phosphate, it has into traded in the upward trajectory only. And despite the volatility that we have witnessed in the markets, the stock price has remained stable. The fundamentals are improving, and the management is also guiding higher margins going ahead. And once the merger takes place, the stock will have a pan-India approach in terms of selling its products of Mangalore Chemicals and as well as of Paradigm Phosphates itself. And yesterday, if you see the stock in the opening, it was around 100 or 102 odd levels. From there again, it picked up pace.
Yeah.
So from the longer term perspective, if the person is able to hold for 1 year down the line, I guess Paradigm Phosphate will surely give positive returns. And
What is the kind of upside that you expect from the current levels? If
at current
somebody
level,
invests at these levels.
yeah. If the already the stock is up 6% odd levels in today's session. So the advice would be, if the stock price comes down around 115, 117 odd levels, then he can have a fresh entry into the stock with a stop loss of 102 at yesterday's low, and upside. The first target that we are witnessing is 130 odd levels. Once it crosses 130, because earlier as well it made high of 127, 128. So once it crosses those levels, then the next target comes to 140, 145. And then we have to see how the company reports its the numbers. But over the longer term period, I personally feel that the stock has the potential to at least cross 200 odd levels as well. But this will be surely take time, because it will have a number the quarterly updates as well, that is the results and how the company pans out ahead in terms of the expansion that it is currently doing. So Paradigm Phosphate is one. Another is Mangalore Chemicals, MOL. So it is around 63, 64 odd levels. And if we see the 52-week low levels of Mangalore Chemicals is around 57, 58. So the downside limit is 2, 3 rupees, and upside is pretty much higher than that, because we have recently seen the anti-dumping, and the companies into titanium plant as well. MOL, sorry, Mangalore, not it is Make Money Organics. My bad, it is Make Money Organics. MOL,
Make money organics.
yeah, MOL. So we have seen the anti-dumping also positively impacting small players like Make Money Organics and other players as well. And the basis this, it will have a positive approach, because it will ensure that the company has higher market share as well. And if you see the company's last quarterly earnings as well, the titanium plant is operational at 25 to 30% of capacity, and the company is able to generate a revenue of 250 to 300 crore. So just imagine, if the capacity tends to be 80 or 100%, then the company has the ability to generate more returns as well from the
Okay.
titanium this plant. And the titanium plant caters to this pure paint sector as well, that we have seen falling drastically. And the margins that the company is aiming, it is the top line, that is a 20% growth in the coming quarters as well. And we believe all the positive factors are placed for Megman Organics, and with the kind of the guidance that the management has given, we have a positive approach on Megman Organics as well, at the current levels as well,
Okay.
for a longer term view.
Okay, two stock ideas from Raj there, Meghbani Organics as well as Paradeep Phosphates that you could definitely look at in this downturn in the market. Thank you so much then Raj for sharing all those insights and answering all the queries of our viewers today. Hope you have a great time. We're leaving on a high note, 22,636. There's a 475 point of a rally, and this is only improving as we speak. And fingers crossed on that one. Well, viewers, we'll get into the second segment of the markets, quickly looking at what is really leading to this sharp momentum. Consumer durables is the top moving sector, 3% higher, but it's the IT stocks that are also contributing well, about 3% up. banking names are actually strong today. ICICI Bank, HDFC, these are contributing to the rally as well. And it's an across the board recovery that we are seeing at this point in time. Let's welcome our other guest on board. Jay Thakkar joins in, Head of Derivatives and Quant Research and Vice President of ICICI Securities joining in. Hi Jay, warm welcome. Well, with your presence, the screen is also lighting up. You can see 22,638. There's a 477 point of a rally, something which was pretty dicey in the morning trade, but in the half time, it seems that we are actually garnering more strength, and we would probably want to look beyond and rather than look back as to what happened yesterday. What's your thought on the markets?
Good to you, Sakshi, and thanks again for having me, on your show. I would say yes. I mean, the kind of recovery which we have seen from yesterday's low as well as today has been phenomenal. That clearly shows, Sakshi, that overall fundamentals relatively to other economies are quite better as far as India is concerned. Okay, and there are several things. I mean, just to put forward a few of them would be definitely, the kind of sell-off which we have seen in the crude oil prices definitely helps us in our, imports because we are heavily reliant on that. As far as that is concerned, second is the lower dollar index, right from 110 now back to 103 and below. So that is something which is positive for Indian economy. These are the two major positives, I would say. And the third is that, what's positive, Sakshi, is that the overall global markets, the equity markets are seeing a sell-off. It's just not the Indian market now, which was not the case, a few months ago, wherein the global markets were up and Indian markets were underperforming the global markets. Indian markets have already seen that. So relatively, we are seeing less of pain now because we have already seen a lot of pain earlier. The globe was having a parting
Yes,
uh,
yes.
on the up. That
A
has
very
already
valid
happened.
point. Hmm.
Yeah. So the only things actually which is now to concerning in the current environment is the volatility index. You know, the CBOE VIX is still trading around the levels of 47, 48. Okay, now I would take you to in this millennial only I would take you there. So if you look at 2008, we had seen the levels of 59, 60 during the financial crisis. But then actually, if you see from 2025 levels, March, April 2008, and when the Lehman crisis broke out in 2008 October, is when it peaked. Okay, and markets bottomed there. So that was on a closing basis around 59.60 CBOE VIX. Thereafter was COVID. I mean, wherein people thought that whether there would be human existence or not. Okay. That point of time, the VIX on a closing basis went to 50 to 53. Okay, and that took from October, November, December 2019 to March, April 20. So these phases took 5 to 3 months, or 3 to 5 months, you can say, when it took that much of time for CBOE which to travel from those 20 levels to 60 levels or 55 levels. So this time around, from 17, 20 levels, it went up to 50 levels in 2 days. You know, so you don't have much room for volatility now to expand further unless you have a bigger reason than financial crisis or COVID. Okay, then it can go to 70, 80. Otherwise, we are nearing that peak in the volatility, which means, actually, that you could be probably nearing the bottom. Okay, so whenever that happens, I mean, it's done. So I don't see Nifty as of now below 21,000 in the worst case scenario. Okay, if VIX has to go, volatility CBOE VIX has to go to that 55, 60 levels based on the history, then Nifty can go max to 21. So I would say that if you have already gone to 21,750 yesterday, how much is left from there on? 750 points, right? But then upside you have got not much. So that's the reason we are bouncing back quite smartly. And today it dipped because actually, we had a gap up. Okay, so that gap has been filled. Now yesterday's gap down is getting filled. That's what I would say. Gap filling process is happening in Nifty. Probably this can inch towards the 22,800 max. But to say with a very high probability that Nifty has formed a probable back bottom, that level is 23,000 on the upside. Above those levels, I can say with a high probability. And downside maximum could be 21,000. So I would be seeing Nifty, trading within this broader range of 21 to 23,000.
Absolutely. 500 points of a rally is what we've already seen, and you see slight profit taking right from that highest point that we actually saw just moments ago. I want to understand on the IT pack. I think that's in flavor today. That was the biggest whipping boy for the markets over the last 3 to 4 weeks odd or so, all during the tariff talk. Today there has been some spike. Of course, we are inching closer to the earnings season. What's the sense that you have on the IT space? Was the selling overdone?
Well, see, Sakshi, what we would do is, while looking this is, we can look at the ratio charts. I mean, how the Nifty IT has been performing vis-a-vis Nifty, right? And I've been seeing that it has underperformed. It was expected to underperform. It has underperformed quite a lot now. Now, looking at, CNX IT, to Nifty 50 because that's what it has around 15% weightage in the Nifty 50. So all-time lows, or maybe if I compare last 2 years lows, because if you remember during Russia-Ukraine time as well, Nifty IT had underperformed, and thereafter it started the rally. So that
Yeah.
time the ratio chart had actually bottom around the levels of 1.40. So Nifty IT divided by Nifty, the ratio was 1.40 actually, and
Ah.
right now we are at 1.48. So I think that much of pain is left in IT is what I believe as of now. So we are nearing that low as well in Nifty IT based on the
Nearing that.
recent past of last 2 3 years.
चलिए तो नियरिंग दैट लो इन आईटी सेक्टर ऑल्सो बहुत सारे सवाल आ रहे हैं जय सो वील स्ट्रेट अवे जंप इनटू ऑल दैट वी हैव दिस क्वेश्चन कमिंग इन फ्रॉम विशाल फ्रॉम कर्नाटका विशाल सेज आई एम होल्डिंग Suzlon shares at 57 and I'm holding Vodafone Idea after the government has actually taken over some of the stake. So I bought it after that. What is the short term targets on both Suzlon and Vodafone Idea? Any suggestion here, Jay?
Yeah, I would say, frankly, that okay, the gentleman has bought idea after the announcement of government. So I would say the recent lows of 6 rupees or 6.5 should not be broken if that has to play out positively in favor of idea, right?
Yeah.
So साढ़े छह के लोग अगर break हो जाए तो आप समझ लो that's not playing out. Like even that government having 49% is not playing out. तो फिर निकल ही जाओ फिर क्या ही रहना है इसमें.
Yeah.
तो जब तक इसका नहीं है 6 रुपए का stop loss रखिए and you can be into it. And as far as Suzlon is concerned, I would say one of the outperformer, and I am quite bullish on the power sector overall. It's a non-FNO stock again. I would say that was a FNO stock, but this is a non-FNO stock. So I would say that if I look at it technically, then 45 is a good support. Till the time it is above 45, you be into the stock. Below 45, I think you should be looking out something else in power, maybe NTPC or Tata Power as compared to Suzlon.
Okay, fair point. Let's take some other questions. Sanjeet Khurana writes in, I want to compliment on the quality of the program and the knowledge that's being shared. I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Sanjeet ji, for writing in such appreciative words. Hope you're getting the advice of your own queries too. He wants to now know on DAM Capital for a fresh entry for 1 to 2 years perspective, would you be able to suggest short data for you? Absolutely. But any suggestion on this one?
Sure. I mean, yes, as you rightly said, Sakshi, that it's a very, very short history that we have. So to comment anything technically, but all I can say is that this is directly linked to the markets. Okay, DAM Capital. So I mean, these kind of companies generally, as far as I believe. I mean, it's not my company's view; it's my personal view. I would say again with a disclaimer that I believe that uh, when markets are doing well, these are likely to do better. In this kind of a market scenario, when the overall trend is down, the stocks are giving negative returns, the IPOs are not coming, that are getting delayed, which time has been doing quite a lot. So then the profitability and the outlook definitely is hampered. So why to get into it when the momentum is not with you fundamentally as well?
Okay, fair point. Let's take another one. This one is from Vinu P. He says, good afternoon to everyone. I want to know, is it the right time to enter HUL for the short term period? What would you advise here, Jay?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, this is one of the stocks actually. Overall, in fact, the consumption, Nifty consumption we look at, or probably FMCG you look at, I think that is the space to hide in this kind of a volatility, right? Because overall the consumption theme is not going to be impacted much because
Yeah.
of the because of the domestic demand, and also looking at the derivatives data, actually that is supportive to the short-term, bounce out there in the Nifty FMCG consumption.
Absolutely.
The 2250, that is 2250 to 2200 range, the good support based on your risk reward. You can put a stop loss at 2250 or as 2200. based on the risk appetite, one can definitely go along an HUL in this kind of a scenario, wherein the stock can move at the levels of around say 24, 24.50 based on the short covering.
Let's take another one. This one is from Kalpesh Patel from Mumbai. He says, I have a short on April futures of Nifty at 22,490. I want to know whether 21,300 can be seen on the markets. Kalpesh ji is asking a question that would let all the other bulls or the optimistic buyers of the markets in a jitter, because he expects the Nifty to go back to 21,300 because he's short on Nifty. What would you suggest, Jay?
Yeah, I would say that, see, he can continue being long until 20. Since it is April futures, I would talk about April futures. So till 23,362 levels are not taken off. So that should be his stop loss. Now he would think that my stop loss is almost 900 to 800 points away. And if his risk appetite is not favorable, then what he can do is he can hedge himself, you know, by buying, say, April 22,000, from 23,000 call option as well, or probably 22,800 call option as well, and he can continue being bearish. So that is hedge at least. So hedging should be the first thing, Mr. Kalpesh, which you should be doing at the current levels. Okay, either you buy 23,000, probably 22,800 call, and if you want to reduce your hedging cost, then probably you can sell 24,000 call option as well. तो आप hedge भी हो गए, आपका stop loss भी लगा दिया आपने 23,350 का, and you can continue to be. Now suppose if market reverses again on the downside, 21,300 is what you asked me, whether it can test 21,300. As I said, in the worst case scenario, I don't see Nifty going below 21,000. The max is 21, right? And what could be the best case scenario for the bulls? I mean, जो 1 से नीचे ना जाए, that could be 21,500. So I think between 21,500 to 21,000, it should halt. So I think if it comes down again, आपको 21,500 पे निकल जाना चाहिए, rather than looking at 21,300. Okay, and you can hedge your position as well, so that you are not at much of the risk if the market probably has found a bottom. Who knows?
Okay, hope this has answered your question. Let's take another one. This one is from Samvit Nageshwar. Says, good afternoon to everyone. I want to know whether it's advisable to make a fresh entry in Ugrow Capital for short term and Zydus Life actually for long term. So two stocks there. One is Ugrow Capital, and this one is trading currently at 166.7, and the other one that he is asking is Zydus Life. Let's see this one. At the current levels, the stock is up 3% at 863 odd levels. Between the two, where do you find more confidence, Jay?
I am confident more in Riders because it is the FMS stock, and we have not seen much of short build-up out there. Whatever fall we have seen actually out there in Riders Life, right from 1300 or 1300 plus levels, has been mainly on account of long unwinding. In the past, we had recommended riders, it didn't work, unfortunately. But then, the data is the same that, we have seen long unwinding. So I would say that riders relatively is better. I mean, it's offering you good risk reward at current levels as well. I mean, placing a stop loss below 800 on a closing basis, you can go long out there, probably targeting 950 to 1,000 on the upside, right? So Riders Life looks better. But then as far as Jugo is concerned, I would say it's not a stock, it's a non-FNO stock, so I had to comment technically, and I'm not heading the technical, since I'm heading technical derivatives and bond, but then based on bond, what I can say is that this has taken multiple support around the levels of 114 on several occasions in the past. 140 का support लिया है. And the NBFCs and financials are relatively doing better actually in this kind of a market scenario. And RBI has also taken good action as in the favor of the NBFCs and banking system overall. So I think from that angle, if you look at, then 140 could be the stop loss, and if you have rate cuts going forward, then definitely these companies should be benefited. So 140 का stop loss लगा के you can be long there as well. If I have to choose one, then it would be Zydus. Otherwise, both are favorable in this kind of a market scenario.
Okay. Last couple of questions we'll take. One is Bhushan Arekar. He wants to know on Motilal Oswal. He bought about 100 shares at about 800 odd levels. What would you suggest? Again, capital markets related stories all coming back. Today what we've seen is that MCX is rallying, BSE is rallying, again Angel One, K Fintech, all of these stocks are up and about. Any suggestion on Motilal Oswal?
Well, see, this is also a non-F&O stock. So looking from the base of quant, I
Sure.
would say that the stock has fallen quite a lot. Okay, so as far as quant research is concerned, I would say that it has deviated quite a lot from its mean. So there could be some mean reversions actually which could happen on the stock and can take the stock back to 690.
Yeah.
Now, from looking from the other angle, from the fundamental point of view, then yes, other capital market stocks are doing good. And mainly the weightage has been because of the BSE, because derivative data contribution has been quite good. And if you look at the US market yesterday, actually, I mean, in the last 18 years of history, there has been the highest trading volume yesterday. Trading volume basically increases. Even this kind of scenario, hence exchanges are gaining, and probably hence brokers are also gaining. Because and you see this volatility. Volatility dies, then definitely there is no margin or for either of kind of business. So yes, for the short term, you can see that bounce back coming in this stock probably because of mean reversion or probably this kind of trading activity basically going up during volatility going up. So that's the short term view I can provide. I mean, 550 is the support out there.
Okay. Last question. A lot of your followers now, Jay, asking you, Mr. G.R. Pandey, Ankur Modi, they say that if Jay sir could suggest any stocks at the current levels from his own research where one can invest in. Two of your followers asking you for any stock ideas. What would you advise?
Well, see, in this kind of a scenario, Sakshi, I would say that the sector, according to me, which is relatively quite immune as of now, one of the best, and how has been outperformer has been BFSI segment. Right
Yeah.
now, from there only, I would recommend two stocks. One would be Kotak Bank, which had taken off 4 years of consolidating range. Okay, so quantitatively, if you look at that, then that triggers the upward momentum. So Kotak is one which you can look at. I mean, wherein I have got good comfort. I think 1950, 1900, or even for that matter 2000 levels, wherein we have seen good amount of put writing for these series should act as a good support. And second would be Bajaj Finance. This has been the outperformer as well. I mean, earlier it was the underperformer in the market when the entire market was doing good. These two stocks were not doing good. And now see suddenly since past couple of months when the entire market is not doing good, they have started doing good. They have been the outperformers. That doesn't mean that now if market reverses, they will not perform. They would still perform because they are out of their range. So they are very clear, Bajaj Finance and Kotak Mahindra Bank, which I think offering good risk reward in this kind of a market scenario.
Okay, fair point. Hopefully, this has also answered all our viewers' questions and, of course, your fans as well. Jay, we will thank you on that note for being with us and sharing such wonderful insights as always on the program with our viewers. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, we'll wrap it up at that, this edition of Daily Calls. In case you still had some more questions going, well, you can continue to ask them tomorrow. We'll be back with another edition of Daily Calls. So keep your questions coming. Things are looking up. Let's see where the opportunities we can scout together with top market experts. Stay tuned on to Business Today Television. A lot more on markets coming up right on your screens.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
The world is